Good morning, good day, good evening. I am, as always, your host, Brodie Robertson, and we are on episode 71. And I have a pimple on the side of my head, which I pointed out because if I don't, I feel like someone in the comments is going to. Yeah. I don't know. I'm 23 and I still get pimples. What of it? Anyway, I don't know why I'm going on a rant about pimples. 71 isn't a very special episode, but it's honestly so weird that I have this many episodes of the podcast out now. So the latest one that came out was 70. That one's already been released. 70 episodes released. For context, right? Every single episode of the podcast I do, I also upload clips, with the exception of a couple of the early ones. Everything besides that, there's usually 2 or 3 clips per episode. So that means that there's probably somewhere in the range of 250 to 280 videos. Let's go over to Social Blade and see what Social Blade actually has to say about it. Tech over T. I think that only... I only have public videos. I was going to say, I think that only counts public videos, but those are the only ones I have. 274 uploads. That is mental. Like, this is a channel that I don't put that much effort into. I just upload stuff. I just talk about shit and I upload it. Also, I love the estimated monthly earnings. That's a big meme. I can tell you exactly how much I make on YouTube with this channel. The answer is 0 because I have less than... Is it 1,000 subs? 1,000 subs, 4,000 watch hours. I think that's the metric. Unless it's been changed. I think you need minimum 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours within the past 12 months. I think I've hit the watch hours. I think. I'm actually not sure. I'm gonna actually want to double check that. I think I'm getting close to the watch hours if I haven't hit them. I have got... You won't actually be able to see this because it's in a different browser. Okay, no, I'm about halfway there. I'm only halfway there, and it's over a 12-month period. So if you don't get all of them within the 12 months, it's not gonna like total up. Obviously, it keeps rolling, but it won't be like your total number of watch hours. At some point, maybe this will be monetizable, but even so, at like what? Maybe on a good episode, 300 views. I can tell you exactly how much I would make for that. I would make about $3 Australian per main episode. So it's not nothing, but also it's not an amount where I'm like, oh, it's so bad that I'm not making money on this. Like, I make enough money. It's fine. Probably not enough to justify the amount of hours I put in, but that's a me problem. I could go and get a job that actually pays well. Instead, I'm here making videos on the internet, so... Yeah. Woe is me, I guess? I don't know. I'm gonna keep doing it, and that's what it's gonna be. But, one thing I want to talk about... I want to talk about a video game I've been playing. So, if you watch my gaming channel, you would know that right now I am playing Ender Lilies and Kingdom Hearts. Now, Ender Lilies... fucking fantastic game. I've already played one stream of it, so I've only done about 3.5 to 4 hours. I don't remember how long I streamed for. But that game, very, very smooth. It's basically, it's another Souls-like game, so if you like Souls-like, I might get more into it in just a bit, but if you like Souls-like, 2D Metroidvania games, brilliant game. Another game I've been playing, though, Kingdom Hearts. Now, Kingdom Hearts 1. I adore this game. Kingdom Hearts 1 is a absolutely fantastic game. It's not my favorite game in the series by far. That would have to go to KH2. KH2 is perfect game. Absolutely amazing. Okay, it's not perfect. There's a lot of bugs with it, but it's the best game in the series, and honestly, KH2 might be one of my favorite games of all time. Now, with KH1, actually with a lot of Kingdom Hearts games, there's gonna be 2 versions. You're gonna have Kingdom Hearts, and then Kingdom Hearts Final Mix, or Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. And a lot of the games are like this. This is a common sort of thing that happens with Japanese, especially Japanese RPGs. in like the early 2000s, late 90s. It still happens in some situations now where you have a base version and then effectively a definitive version. Imagine if you have a game that comes out now and then there's like a Game of the Year edition. It's effectively the same as that, without you actually going and buying DLC. They just basically release it as a whole new game. Occasionally they'll also change like story elements and stuff, but that's a whole other thing. One common example of one that's still doing it now is the Persona series. So you have Persona 4, Persona 5. Those are the mainline games. But then you also have Persona 4 Golden, which is the definitive edition, and Persona 5 Royal, which is the same thing. It's the definitive edition. They change some stuff around, add new content. Better game overall, for the most part. And Kingdom Hearts does the exact same thing. But Kingdom Hearts also changes around the time that you get abilities. So there is a really good ability in the Kingdom Hearts series called Second Chance. Basically what this does is it makes it so when you take a fatal hit when you're anywhere above 1 HP, basically you don't instantly die. So if you get one shot by an enemy, it always means you're going to be two shot. So this makes it so bosses that would effectively be impossible to do unless you do like a no-hit run, are actually fightable. It's the only thing that makes one of the only things that makes a level 1 in Kingdom Hearts actually doable, because you can combine Second Chance with Leaf Bracer, and when you get hit, then you can do a heal. Leaf Bracer makes it so when you get attacked, you can still continue doing your heal, and it doesn't actually disrupt the heal. Now, the other thing with Kingdom Hearts is the order that you get your abilities is dependent on the weapon you pick at the start of the game. So, eventually you do get your Keyblade, which is the main weapon throughout the franchise, but at the start of the game during the tutorial, you pick a staff, a sword, or a shield. This also determines things like how quickly you grow in certain stats. Obviously, picking the shield will make it so you take less damage. Picking the sword make it so you have more strength. Picking the staff will make it so you have more MP. Basic sort of RPG stuff. But the main thing is the way they change around the ability order. So I'm going to bring up a list of Kingdom Hearts abilities, and I'm going to show you something. Let's see. Can we find it? Kingdom Hearts? I should have opened this up before, actually. Kingdom Hearts Sora's abilities. Here we go. So, if we look for Second Chance, if I can spell Second Chance correctly. So, if you are playing with a shield, you get Second Chance at level 36. Perfectly reasonable. That's very early in the game. I think you would get that around the midway point. So it makes it so once you get to the more difficult part of the game, you get this ability and actually have a chance to get through stuff. Now, following that, with the sword, which is not the best thing to pick at the start of the game, but still fairly decent, is Second Chance. Second Chance, you get Second Chance at 48. I don't know why I said Second Chance as if it was something else I was talking about. But yeah, 48, you get Second Chance. Now, I accidentally picked the my build in a really weird way. I didn't realize that Second Chance and Leaf Bracer came so late in the game with the rod build, the staff build. So Leaf Bracer you get at 27 with the shield, which is very early in the game, and 39 you get Leaf Bracer with the staff. So at this point in the game, I have Leaf Bracer. In the original version of the game, at 51 right here, where you now get Sliding Dash, which is not a great ability. It's okay, but it's not great. That right here is where you used to get Second Chance. Not any longer. In Final Mix, they decided they want to move it. They want to move it to level 90. Now, Kingdom Hearts is a game where you can get to the end of the game around level 60. So if you pick a staff at the start of the game, unless you go and level grind, there is almost a 0% chance you will ever see second chance. And this makes doing a proud mode run very, very difficult. So Kingdom Hearts difficulties, at least in KH1, go beginner, normal, and proud. Beginner, obviously very easy. I think you get a damage. The enemies do less damage to you, and you do more damage to them. I think that's how it works. I think it's like a one. This might be KH2. KH2, there is like a 1.5 times multiplier in both directions. Normal mode, it's flat damage. So you do 1x damage, the enemies do 1x damage to you. Fairly normal stuff. There might also be like an XP boost in beginner mode as well, but that's not too important. Proud mode, on the other hand, proud mode is the hardest difficulty. And I am at a stage right now where I get 2-shot by enemies. And I can't stop that happening. I would probably have to get up to like level... Maybe I'm thinking I'm going to have to grind up to at least level 60 to make it so I can actually do anything against these enemies. Because, yeah, we got a defense boost at 51. Oh, there's a defense boost at 57, and then there's one at 63. So maybe at this point I would have to get to. Because right now, I don't think I could feasibly get through the final boss. Because I'm just going to get 2-shot by the boss, and he has a lot of attacks that are incredibly difficult to dodge. So I've basically fucked this build at this point, and I'm just going to have to do some level grinding to make it so I can get anywhere. I was considering doing the secret bosses, so at the end of Kingdom Hearts, there's always going to be these extra super bosses that are very difficult to kill. KH1 has Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. If you don't know, Kingdom Hearts has Disney and Final Fantasy characters in it, as well as their own original characters. Sephiroth is very difficult. There's also the Ice Titan, which not actually that difficult. You can beat it fairly easily by just blocking attacks, and then it will fall over. There's one at a clock tower in Neverland where you have to do some like magic nonsense. That one I know isn't that difficult. It's more like knowing how the puzzle actually works. And then there is the big thing with giant swords, which will actually one-shot me if I don't have second chance. So unless I grind up to level 90, I'm not doing secret bosses in KH1. The moral of the story here is if you're playing KH1 FM, always pick shield or sword. Preferably pick shield. Shield is the easiest way to play the game. Even though some of the like nice damaging abilities you don't get, things like, say, one ability I'm using very frequently right now is Ripple Drive. Ripple Drive is very good. But the best way to play the game is by going with shield. You pick shield, and I think if you sacrifice sword, that's perfectly fine. You can sacrifice the staff, but taking the staff at the start, sacrificing sword will give you a bit of a strength reduction. Sacrificing the staff will give you a magic reduction. And you don't want to have the magic reduction because having the extra heals there, or extra casts just generally, is going to be incredibly useful. Especially in the late game when being able to cast a lot actually is very useful. And very important in a lot of cases. KH2, I feel like, does this a bit better. I don't know when you actually get abilities in KH2. I need to check that. I know in the original game it's not that bad, but they might have changed it for the Final Mix version. Let's find out. So, Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. Oh yeah, that also reminds me. So Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix abilities. I've been... for most of last week, I was stuck on one boss fight. So there was a boss fight where you basically fight your childhood friend who disappears from the game for most of it, comes back with evil dark powers. I don't want to get into explaining how dumb the Kingdom Hearts story is. Anyway, you actually go and fight this guy again, and he's got some abilities that, even at level 50, were two-shotting me. And because I didn't have second chance, there was nothing I could do about it. This is why second chance is such a powerful ability. Without second chance, it just makes the game way too difficult. Yeah, pretty much. It just makes the game way too difficult. I know there is an ability later on I can get at level 55 called Combo Master, which wasn't in the base version of Kingdom Hearts 1, but is there in the Final Mix version. Combo Master basically makes it so when you do an attack combo, you don't actually have to hit anything for the combo to continue. So normally in Kingdom Hearts, when you attack something, if there's nothing you hit, you can only do the first part of your combo. This, I guess, is just to balance out the combat, make it so you can't just spam your finisher, basically, and only, like, even if stuff's moving around, just hitting your finisher without really having to do much other work. But you do get Combo Master fairly early with the Rod build, so I guess that's fine, I guess. Let's see, KH2, when do you get stuff? So, Leaf Bracer is always at level 20 in KH2. That is really nice. I realize I'm not showing it. So, Leaf Bracer is always at level 20. That actually is kind of essential because, yeah, there's some boss fights in KH2 where not having Leaf Bracer would be very dangerous. Now, Second Chance. When do you get Second Chance? 36, 48, and 90. Why are you putting Second Chance at level 90? Stop doing that. So, both KH1FM and KH2FM, for whatever reason, decided to break the rod. You cannot play the game with a rod, basically. Oh, that's... Imagine oh, God. If you do a critical mode run, not a critical mode level 1 run, but just a critical mode, in KH2, there's like an extra difficulty above Proud mode. Trying that out without Second Chance, going with the rod build, I think actually would make some of the bosses actually impossible. Like, I think there's some there's some attacks out there that actually cannot be dodged, unless you do like stupid speedrun strats. So unless you know that, I think some bosses actually would be impossible. Oh my God. What an amazing video game this is. Why would you break it like that? Why? Just leave it as it is. Level 51 was fine. Maybe even put it to level 60. But not level 90. Level 90 is a little excessive. Like, level 90 is where you want to have, like, the cleanup abilities. That's where you want to be like, okay, you don't have all of your combo pluses. You don't have all of your critical pluses. Maybe some, like, magic damage improved. Things like that. The boring abilities, you put those at the end. Not things that are basically essential to combat. That's not where you put those. That's really dumb. Or in the case of KH2, is this, wait. Sorry, it's KH1. KH1. On the sword build, Jackpot. Jackpot is an ability that lets you, I think it lets you get better drops from enemies. Fine. That, if you want to make it so it's harder to farm harder to farm, crafting items until endgame, perfectly fine. Second Chance. This is enough ranting about fucking Second Chance. I'm not doing secret bosses in KH1. Unless I somehow get the urge to grind to level 90, it's not happening. As much as that would be kind of fun, there's other games to play. There are just other video games to play, and, yeah. Like the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series, for example. Like, I want to get into KH2 at some point, because KH2 is just a lot of fun. One of the things that, besides KH2 just being more responsive. That's one of the things that's weird about KH1. It feels like your inputs are slightly delayed. Like, you get used to it at some point, but things like guarding, for example, there's always a slight delay with your guard, where even though you press the guard button, you have to make sure you press it a certain distance from the attack, otherwise the attack will hit you before the guard actually goes up. Whereas most games, when you have a guard button, if you guard, the guard happens from the second you actually do a guard. It's just, KH1, you can tell it's like the first game in the series because of how rusty it is around the edges. KH2 also introduced things like reaction commands, which reaction commands, I think, are the only time that quick time events have actually been done well in a video game. someone's probably going to have some weird random other example, but KH2 makes quick time events an integral part of combat, but doesn't make them feel weird. So basically, some enemies, when they do a certain attack, there'll be a little pop-up that appears where you can press triangle, or I guess... Actually, no, I was going to say, or I guess another button, but KH2 was never re-released on something besides, Actually, no, it was. Because it's available on PC now. So triangle, or I guess Y if you're playing it with an Xbox control. And this is entirely optional, but if you go and use this reaction command, you'll do extra damage to the enemy. Maybe you'll, like, grab the enemy as they're flying past and throw them back, or there's one enemy that shoots out a laser, and when you use the reaction command, basically you grab it, and then you do a spiral, hitting enemies around you with the laser. All of that stuff is really cool, and it never feels weird. It always feels like it sort of fits into the combat system. It doesn't ever slow the combat down. I guess would be a good way to put it. With the exception of some of the reaction commands for bosses. So the tutorial boss, which is basically a it's just a giant nobody, which is the main enemy in KH2. Main enemy in the late game and early game. Anyway, it's a big enemy in KH2. That part, basically you'll get trapped for a bit, and the only way to get out of it is by doing the reaction command at the right time. If you don't do the reaction command, you still will continue the fight. It's just you'll take damage before it continues. So you want to hit the reaction command. That's the only time where it feels like more like a quick time event. Every other time, it's just like, here's something extra you can do if you are paying enough attention. Because you can always get away from the attack that was going to hit you with, it was going to hit you anyway. Like, if someone's going to do something that requires a reaction command, if you guard, generally that's also going to block the attack anyway. You just don't get the benefit of hitting that extra damage. And I think that's how quick time events should sort of be handled. Not something that disrupts the flow of the gameplay, something that sort of adds into it. It's sort of, I guess a good way to look at it is, I guess treating it like a special ability. That would be probably the best way to put it. It's a special ability you can only use sometimes. I think that's a good way to describe it. KH1 sort of had reaction commands, but not on regular enemies. So you would occasionally have abilities like Ars Arcanum, Ragnarok, Sonic Blade, Strike Raid, where under certain conditions, you would be able to go to the bottom of your command menu and then select the ability and use the ability then. It was fixed in the re-releases, rather than having to go to the bottom of your command menu, which was really annoying, because you'd have to, like, press up on your D-pad and then do the ability. Now, it's the same way as KH2, where you just press triangle and it will go and activate it. But it didn't have it for regular enemies, so that... It didn't work in the same sort of way. And I think, yeah, it's only been mainline games so far that have had reaction commands. I was gonna say, I don't think Birth by Sleep... No, Dream Drop Distance, Does Dream Drop Distance have... I'm gonna check now. DDD reaction commands. I think reaction commands exist in Dream Drop. Let's see. I know they're there in KH3. I'm pretty sure. If they're not, ignore me. I'm dumb. Oh no, they are in Birth by Sleep. Okay, they're just not always on the triangle key. Sometimes it's gonna be on other keys as well. Okay, fair enough. I think triangle is probably the best way to do it, just because you don't actually use triangle for anything else in Kingdom Hearts. You only have, like, all your attacks are done on the X key. So it's X, 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 X. Like, if you just look at a controller, like, while someone's playing Kingdom Hearts, it looks really boring. So it basically just amounts to press X to do damage, press square to do guard or a dodge roll, and press circle to jump. And triangle sort of just sits there doing nothing if they don't have reaction commands. So it just makes sense to have it as like this this extra button that bind it on an extra button that's not being used for anything. Triangle's usually going to be the interaction button, so things like opening a chest, talking to someone, things like that. So when you're in combat, I guess with the exception of KH2 where you can actually open chests during combat, it's usually not going to be used. KH1 you couldn't do that, which I always found weird after I played KH2. Because you would get to some weird areas where you might be able to like fall off the map and go like way back to the start. So if you wanted to get that chest in the area, you would be required to kill anything there. KH2, on the other hand, if you want, you don't have to kill anything. You can just run through an area grabbing all the chests. And that's what you usually see when someone's doing like a level 1 randomizer, for example. Like, I'm not going to fight the random enemies. I don't care about them. I'm just going to fight the bosses. That makes more sense. Well, I've been talking for like 25 minutes about Kingdom Hearts. Jesus. I actually want to talk about Ender Lilies. I actually said to Robertson earlier that this was going to be like a Linux-focused episode. I've lied, apparently. It's not. It's going to be a gaming-focused one. I've only hit on one of the topics, but it's fine. Maybe I'll get to something else afterwards. Anyway, Ender Lilies. Ender Lilies is a bloody fantastic game. As I said before, is a Dark Souls, what is it? Souls-like, that's what we call them. Souls-like Metroidvania, which is a lot of buzzwords. Souls-like 2D Metroidvania. And it looks gorgeous. Now, the thing I like about Ender Lilies is you never feel like... I think a good way to put it is you never feel like the bosses are unfair. All of the bosses have an attack pattern that you can maybe not always easily work out. Oh my god, that area looks awesome. I'm excited to go there. Maybe not always easily work out, but there's always a pattern there that can be discovered. And there's no like bullshit like, oh, you've discovered the pattern, well now I'm gonna like change up what I'm doing. Go fuck yourself, basically. Like in the case of Birth by Sleep, where the secret boss in that one actually does seemingly randomly change the attack pattern. I think there might be some logic to it, but it looks random, that's for sure. Anyway, not the point. Ender Lilies, for example, okay, here's one good example. There is a boss called the Dark Witch Elaine. Getting through her first stage fairly easy. She doesn't do anything that dangerous. Second stage, she turns into like more of a monster, and she has this spike ability that when you first do the fight, it seems like when she uses it is completely random, but it's very, very predictable when she uses it. It's just that the window to actually dodge is very tiny. So she'll do her main cast ability, then you can get 2 hits in on her. 2 hits in on her. Then she will like fly around a bit and come back to you and try to like stab you with the claws. Now, when she stabs you with the claws, there's actually a point in there where if you're using the default weapon or the default spirit, you can get 1 hit in there. Now, if you try to get a second hit in there, 100% of the time, you will take damage. There is no way you can get around that. So, basically the game is telling you, stop being greedy and get your hit in there and get out. And once you realize that, you realize that the bosses are actually, they're not the hardest bosses out there. Like, most of the bosses in Ender Lilies, so far, I've only died on maybe, like, twice. If you compare that to, like, an actual Souls game, like Dark Souls, for example, the first one. That game, I think the only boss I didn't die on the first time I fought them was the Asylum Demon. And that's only because I knew how to fight the Asylum Demon. You can just, like, I think if you just hug his crotch, you just can dodge a lot of the attacks. Actually, that's the case with a lot of... Sorry, no, that's the Taurus Demon. Asylum Demon, if you just circle around him, you can dodge most of the attacks. Anyway, we're not talking about Dark Souls right now. So it's not as hard as Dark Souls. Absolutely not. But it feels rewarding to do the fight because it feels like you're learning how the enemies actually work. And one of the interesting things about the way it does its boss fights is rather than you go through an area and then it introduces some new enemy, Capra Demon, Taurus Demon, other Dark Souls bosses, Sif. Instead of doing it where the boss enemy is very different to the regular enemies you fight, instead what it does is, at least for most of them, with the exception of Siegfried, the first boss, basically the enemies you fight up until the boss are sort of like a miniature version of the boss. So a lot of the attacks the boss has will be replicated in the enemies, not to the same extent, because that would make it too easy. You get very very used to the boss before the boss even happens. But Dark Witcher Lane is a great example of this. So all of the attacks that Dark Witcher Lane has, the regular enemies you fight before that always have like a miniature version of it. So there, for example, there's an enemy that shoots out like these magic spheres at you. There's an enemy that spawns spikes. There's an enemy that spawns this tornado, which is effectively the same as her magic tornado wall. And you sort of get a bit of an understanding of what the boss might do. You just don't have an understanding of the extent. I think this is actually a really interesting way to handle boss design, because it allows you to make the boss harder, because you don't have to train the player as their. So it allows you to make the boss harder because you are training the player. So if you were like thrown straight into like one of these bosses, you would die instantly. Like you would have no idea what's going on. But because you sort of have this training up until the boss, it gives you a sort of an idea. But the other thing, the other reason why the bosses even though they are quite difficult bosses in that way, the other thing that makes them easy, I know I'm saying they're difficult and they're easy. I don't know how to properly explain it. You have to play Ender Lilies. Please just play Ender Lilies. It's a very, very good game. The thing that makes the bosses easier, though, is that unlike a Souls game, every single boss has a checkpoint just before the boss. So this would be like having a bonfire right outside the fog wall. So every single time you die, you get full Estus. That makes it obviously a bit easier in that respect, because in Souls games you can, like, say you're going to like the Capra Demon, for example. Every time you die to the Capra Demon, you have to go run back through the lower Undead Burg, and you have to fight everything along the way, unless you like skip past them and get through the fog wall without dying. Unless you do that, you have to fight the enemies as you go back, and this requires you to get better at the game. Otherwise, you get to the boss and have one heal and fuck it up anyway. So, while I think Ender Lilies could be a harder game, I think that as it is, it's as difficult as it needs to be. Sure, I would appreciate the game actually being more difficult, maybe making the bosses have more variety in their attacks rather than having... Usually they have like 4 or 5 attacks they will cycle through, and you just have to work out the cycle and how to dodge them. Sure, the bosses could absolutely be more difficult, but it's difficult enough to get the point across. And I think that's really all that matters. The other thing that I really like about Ender Lilies is the soundtrack. So this soundtrack is fucking phenomenal, and there's a reason why it's phenomenal. It's because the person who made it is probably my favorite musician. So I don't think I ever talked about Millie on the podcast, but Millie has some absolutely amazing music. I highly recommend checking out her channel. Gorgeous music, very good stuff. Please go watch Millie's stuff. And she did the entire soundtrack for Ender Lilies, obviously with other people as well, but she composed the entire soundtrack. And Yes, it's very good because her normal style basically fits with Ender Lilies anyway. She did the opening theme to Goblin Slayer, for example. So if you take Goblin Slayer and make it more orchestral, make it less hype. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to take it. It's very, very orchestral music. There's occasionally some humming. It honestly fits the theme of Ender Lilies basically perfectly because, as you can probably tell from the screenshots, like a Souls game, it's very grey, it's very bleak. Basically, the only color you get, with the exception of some of the areas that I do have some nice lighting in the background, like with these purple, I think they're purple candles. Most of the color in the game comes from the enemies doing an attack. So it's like, oh yeah, this dude, he will smack his hammer on the ground, and there'll be like a wave of orange that comes out. I think this makes the attacks sort of, one, they stand out. So a lot of games have a problem, even in like 2D side scrollers like this, where the attacks very much blend into like the rest of the surroundings. This is one of the things that I will criticize games like Dead Cells and Hades for, even though I adore both of them. Even though I adore both those games, occasionally I get sort of visually overloaded and lose track of where the attacks actually are compared to the background. But when your background is just fucking grey and brown, and then your attacks are these like massive orange things, it makes it much clearer sort of what's actually going on. The art's also just really nice. Like, the art's just genuinely really nice. The art and the music both complement each other. I love sort of everything about this game. Oh, there's an area that has green butterflies. That's cool. Way later than I am, I guess. But yeah, most of it sort of looks like this, where it's like, yes, do you like grey? Good. Just good. But you're not supposed to like this world because it's the same. Honestly, it's basically if you take the Dark Souls world and you just make the character like a lolly. That's pretty much what we have going on here. A lolly that has stand powers. That's basically this game. So you're not supposed to like the world. The world is like taken over by like zombie sort of things. I think, what do they call them? What is the word? So the description: unravel the mystery of the kingdom destroyed by the reign of death. Yeah, it's not supposed to be a nice world. The enemies are called the Blighted, which certainly isn't reminiscent of another game at all. Definitely not. No, 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 no. Oh, one of the other things I love about this game. So, main character's animations are super adorable. Like, she's a very adorable character. So early on, you get a double jump. I think you should get this from the first boss. And when you do the double jump, you do the jump up, your first jump. There's like some feathers that appear under you. You do another jump, and then when you fall, she's like, just like puts her arms up in the air. Same thing when she gets the dive ability from this boss, which is another very early boss. When she does the dive, she like puts her arms up in the air, and then when she falls, she like puts one arm on the ground. And it's like sort of like a dab, half dab sort of thing. Very cute, very cute. And there's a lot of like little subtleties like that where it really makes you like this protagonist, even though she is a silent protagonist. I don't think throughout the entire game she's ever gonna say anything. I think that's gonna be the gimmick. Silent protagonist is by no means a new thing. It's just usually silent protagonist also means a lazy character. But in this case, I think it works quite well. It works quite well because you're playing as there's this girl who has no idea what's going on. So at the start of the game, basically, she wakes up in this place, doesn't know exactly where she is, because she's also lost her memories. Turns out she was actually in a church, and she's a white priestess. She doesn't know what that means. It just goes on throughout time trying to work out what the hell's going on with this world. And it sort of makes sense why she is a silent protagonist, because she doesn't know what the fuck's going on. I'm just gonna let my spirits work this out because apparently they know more about what's going on than I do. So I'm just gonna sort of let them lead the way, I guess. Um, it does a lot of its lore through item descriptions, but unlike a Souls game, it still gives you a general storyline through cutscenes. So you can work out what's happening with the main character through the cutscenes and like what's happened in her past. But when it comes to like what's happened to the world, who is this person you just defeated? Why are they here? What are they doing? Who were they in the before the Reign of Death happened? Before they became the Blighted? That sort of stuff. That's all told through item descriptions and through the environment, things like that. Which I think is a good compromise. One of the things I don't sort of like about Dark Souls is the fact that the story is told through item descriptions. So my knowledge of the Dark Souls story is you're a dude in a prison, you go kill things, and there's a dog, and you kill the dog, and you kill a dragon, and you kill other. Do you kill another dragon? You kill another dragon. This dragon has scales, and things happen. You become a part of the fire or something. I don't fucking know, because I don't. There's just no obvious lore in the Souls games. When a game is like that, I don't have a problem with it if the combat also holds up. And obviously with the Souls game, the combat holds up. Dark Souls probably is my second favorite game of all time. First going to Kingdom Hearts 2. Someone might get angry with that, but that's just how I stand. I love Kingdom Hearts 2. Dark Souls, second favorite game. And even though I've probably played somewhere in the realm of 100 hours of Dark Souls 1, I could not tell you a fucking thing that's going on in that game because I just don't care. I just don't care enough. But back onto Ender Lilies, I have no idea how long this game actually is. I've seen some people who are at like level 60 and level 70, but I don't know if they are grinded to get to that level or if they just sort of naturally got to that level. Ender Lilies, time to beat. Apparently, main story takes 12 hours. Or 13 hours. Main plus extras takes 21 hours, and then completionist takes 21 hours and 44 minutes. I always take what that says and usually add on maybe another 3 or 4, because I tend to play games fairly slowly. I like to examine the environments and all that sort of stuff. Whenever there is a time to beat, I just never pay attention to it. For example, Ni no Kuni. The first Ni no Kuni game, what is the time to beat? Bullshit. Time to beat Ni no Kuni 1? Oh, sorry, Wrath of the White Witch. I guess it's not Ni no Kuni 1. There's other Ni no Kuni games beforehand. 46 hours. 46 hours. I spent probably 100 in that game. Oh, this person's giving me okay, you know what? Let's talk about this. So 10 reasons why Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is an overrated mess. If you want to know my third favorite game is, it might be Ni no Kuni. So let's find out why it's an overrated mess. Familiars look like crap. They're also lame and poorly designed. They make starter Pokemon look like fearsome beasts of legend. It blows my mind that someone designed some derpy abomination like the egg roll, a freaking bandaged egg with legs, or Rhinosaur, the ugliest pig ever to be designed, and thought, okay, it's done. That's how this monster should look. They even managed to make a pirate cat with an eye patch look bad, which takes some serious effort, and to add insult to injury, when they evolve them, they change color, and if you're lucky, they get some additional horns. You do know this game it has a Ghibli art style, so like, actually, I'm gonna show you what some of the familiars look like. This person clearly doesn't like the Ghibli art. I don't like Ghibli movies, but one thing I can say is that Ghibli art looks bloody fantastic. Nino Kuni. Familiars. Let's see. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this adorable thing. This is one of the like the early familiars you get. That's adorable. Like, how could you not love that? Here we go. He's like a cat pirate. It's like a dude with like a derpy looking head, and it's like how could you not love these things? They're adorable. Like, how could you not? And yeah, when you evolve them, they get like spikes and stuff on their head. Like it's a game with a see, I think this is the second game. That's the second game. It's a game that has a Ghibli art style. So like you get a Ghibli art style with it. All of the characters look kind of dopey, but that's sort of like that's sort of what comes with Ghibli. Yeah. So if you don't like Ghibli, that's fine. I think you're wrong, but yeah. Side quests are copy pasted over and over, and the majority of them require you to take heart, give heart, which is basically moving to point A, pressing X a few times, going to point B, pressing X a few times. The rest is just fetch quests, beat 5 monsters, or capture some monsters. By the third side quest, I was just reading what to do in the recap and mashing X to go through the pointless overwritten conversation, as they're completely uninteresting. I will actually give you that one. At least for Ni no Kuni 1, I feel like, yeah, the side quests were not great. But this is sort of a problem with a lot of JRPGs. A lot of JRPGs have the MMO side quest where it's like, hey, go to a field, please pick 5 medical herbs and come back. And that's the entire quest. The thing that's fun about the side quest isn't the side quest itself. A lot of the time, you're sort of developing the world and developing the inhabitants of the city. So you find out more about, like, what's going on. It's not the side quest itself that's fun, it's the lore building that's fun. Cities are basically glorified corridors, like in Final Fantasy 13. You can't explore any building except the stores, and the one required by the story. And there's nothing to do in them other than talking to NPCs, which are completely static and never have anything useful to say. Even more annoying is that in certain cities, some random NPCs give you a bunch of alchemy recipes, so if you're not using a guide, you'll have no chance getting them because you'll be tired of reading their pointless banter after the first city. I actually don't think this is a problem. I would much rather have a city that has sort of nowhere to explore than a city that has a lot to explore and nothing in it. I've played a lot of games that are like that, and they end up just being a pain. You're like, can I just fast travel through the city? I'd much rather prefer a city where I can cross the entire thing in like 20 seconds if you're not going to build out a city that has massive stuff, a lot of stuff in it that actually is worth exploring. I feel like some of the Dragon Quest games actually suffer from exactly that problem, where they'll have these fairly large cities for a Dragon Quest game, but there's just nothing there. Or like Pokemon, for example. Pokemon has fairly large cities in most cases, but most of the houses are just nothing. It's just like, oh, here's an NPC that says, oh, the weather's nice today. Oh, your Pokemon, that's cool. It's just like, okay. It's like, if you're going to build a shit city, just don't give me a big city in the first place. Anyway, recruiting familiars is 100% chance-based. It's not skill-based or anything, so getting them is just mindless grind and getting lucky. Yes, that is exactly how Pokemon works as well. Yeah, that's just how these sort of games work. It's a game that has the Pokemon recruitment system. What of it? If you don't like the Pokemon recruitment system, then sure, fair enough. But like, I don't think you can really hold that against the game unless you're going to hold that against the entire genre. The AI is completely useless and dumb, and the different strategies you can select do nothing at all. Completely incorrect. Esther will always attack the enemy with her crappy harp, doing 1 damage and getting killed instead of keeping her distance to heal when needed. For example, until I started overleveling my companions, never did anything useful during battles and kept getting killed over and over. And by then, I played the remaining 70% of the game, mashing X with Puss in Boots, Puss in Boats? Maybe there actually is one called Puss in Boats. Steamrolling everyone, and in the post game, I did the same with Dinosaurus. Dinosaurus? I don't know. Anyway, I never noticed that to be a problem. I actually found the NPC AI to actually be quite good. Like, it's still a JRPG, and it's still like JRPG AI, so it's not going to be like, you know, playing with an actual person. But I never really noticed a problem. It's like, it's no worse than what you get in the Kingdom Hearts series, for example. I found the music to be completely generic and forgettable. I never found myself thinking about the music of this game, and I actually don't remember any of the music other than the battle and overworld theme. And I played this 64 hours already. I think you just have bad memory, because I think the music in this game is it's great. It's what I would expect from a Ghibli movie. I I don't know what to say about that. It's just like, yeah, it's a good soundtrack. Mm. Motorville is totally useless, and there is no reason to ever go there, except when the story wants you to mash X to skip some pointless conversation and fight a boss. I don't remember what Motorville is. I don't remember the city names. Motorville. Oh wait, is that the real world? Or the human world? What is Motorville? Motorville. Nino Kuni. No. What was Motorville? Oh, it's the world outside of the magic world. Yes, that is called world building and lore. Yes. You're obviously, you don't go to the real world to fight enemies, or like the regular non-magic world to fight enemies, because you're in the regular non-magic world. Like, that would be like, oh, I hate that when I go into like, when I go into a town in Pokemon, there's no one to battle there. Like, yes, because you're in a town, and that would be stupid. The story is ridiculous and filled with plot holes, fuzzy logic, and general nonsense. No spoilers. Maybe I'll elaborate if anyone disagrees. No, I'll give you that one. Wait, I'll see if I can find it. What's the boss called? Or the... I know there is a segment... Yeah, here we go. There is a, So there's a town called Ding Dong Dell, and the king of that place is called Tom Tildrum the 14th. And he is a giant cat. Why is he a giant cat? He's a giant cat because it's a Ghibli art style. Like, like, yeah, the story is it's a bit dumb, but it's like the sort of campiness that I would expect from, you know, from a game that has a Ghibli art style. Like, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that he just doesn't like the idea of Ghibli in general. As I said, there's a lot of Ghibli movies I don't like. I don't like a lot of the modern stuff, but the older stuff is good. And I feel like this sort of encapsulates a lot of what I enjoy about Ghibli. Anyway. The whole White Witch chapter is tacked on, and the game ending is god-awful no matter how you look at it. I'll give you that. Yeah, JRPGs generally end in a pretty shitty way. Let's see. There's noticeably removed content and rushed parts. For example, the Ghost Ship or Skull Mountain, and also later on, they didn't even try coming up with good reasons as to why main characters were brokenhearted, such as the Queen in Perdita or that mouse in Ding Dong Dell. Wasn't Ding Dong Dell fairly early on? I think Ding Dong Dell was fairly early on. The only points that I agree with are 2 and 3. I don't remember there ever being any parts where I was like, this felt rushed. Granted, it was a very long time when I played the game, a very long time ago when I played the game, so I could just be forgetting parts of the story, but I don't, like, there's nothing there's nothing I really, well, the words, think what you're trying to say. There's nothing that sticks out in my mind as being obviously, like, part of removed content. Number 4, completely wrong. Is number 4 the one about the game? Yeah, the number 4 is the one about the game being like Pokemon. Number 4, completely wrong. If you always caught the monster you wanted, it wouldn't be fun. I spent 3 hours yesterday trying to catch a Toko, and when I did, it was such a relief. A payoff for hard work instead of, look, Toko, oh, look, I got it straight away, yay. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Okay, this person... Okay, someone else actually went through all of the points and gave replies to them as well. I really hate it when people compare any game with some form of monster capturing / fighting with Pokemon. You viewing them as ugly is your opinion, and not really a reason as to why they hate the game. Well, if you hate the game for that reason, that's fine. 2 and 3 seem to be things in recent RPGs, so I don't know, it is a tad bland, though. 2 and 3 were side quests and cities. Okay, fair enough. RNG, staple of all RPG games. Don't know why you would expect otherwise. Fair enough. Why are you playing an RPG if you don't like RNG? The AI is indeed annoying, but I don't know how you'd improve that. Maybe I'm just forgetting. I don't know. 6 opinions. The entire thing is his opinion. What are you talking about? Music to be generic. Well, he's just wrong about that, because it's actually really good. 7, and that's you not caring about the plot. Is 7. Your 7 is about Motorville, exactly. 8. I've seen many a Ghibli animation that have plot holes here and there. I'm just used to them now. Or, of course, it's going to be crazy. You never watched a Ghibli film. I sort of accept that with anything from Japan, anything anime-like, there's going to be plot holes. Like, that's part of the fun. You're like, why... Okay, like, for example, Kingdom Hearts. Like, okay, why are all of... So, there's a bit in Kingdom Hearts 1 where Riku's like, Kaori's heart is inside of you for some unknown reason. It was never explained how it got there. It's just like, Kaori's heart is inside of you, give her back her heart. But it turns out, not just Kaori's heart was inside of Sora, all of the Princesses of Heart's heart were inside of Sora's heart. It's just like, okay. Also, think of heart basically as an equivalent for spirit. Why? That was never explained. Doesn't matter. This is the sort of stuff that you come to accept when you play JRPGs, and honestly becomes part of the charm, to be completely honest. Like, imagine if, you know, Naruto made complete sense. Would it be as fun? I don't think so. I think part of the fun there is when you're like, why did that happen? Okay, moving on. I don't know, maybe I've just come to accept how just dumb anything that comes out of Japan is. Maybe that's just a me thing. I don't know. But I love Ni no Kuni. Great game. I've actually got a copy of the second... I guess I keep saying first and second game, but there actually was a game beforehand. It just never came to home consoles. So it was only a handheld game. Let's see. Where is my copy of Ni no Kuni? It should be here. Wait. I'm blind. Here we go. I like having the the microphone on an arm. It makes it very, very convenient. Here's a copy of Ni no Kuni Revenant Kingdom, which I have yet to play, but it certainly looks really cool. Rediscover another world. Join the young king. Join the young King Evan. Man, King Evan. What a great name for a king. As he sets out on an epic quest to find a new kingdom, and with the help of some new friends, unite his world and save his people from a terrible evil. Like, if you play a game that has a story like that, or that has a description like that, like, there's a certain level of stupid you have to expect. Yeah, I think it's sort of on you if you play something like that and like, wow, this story, it's shit. But I love level 5 because level 5 has honestly made some of my favorite JRPGs. Another being Dragon Quest 9, which is it wait, is it 9? Yeah, 9 is the one for the DS. That is the first Dragon Quest game I ever played, and I adore Dragon Quest 9. Um so maybe it's just me having a what's the word? An obsession with level 5. Maybe that's it. Oh, level 5 also made the Professor Layton games for anyone who happens to like the Professor Layton games. Um, what else of note? Uh, n- Nothing else super noteworthy. They made Yokai Watch, which apparently is a very good game, even if the series wasn't very good. Um, and yeah, apart from that, nothing else that's super known outside of Japan. Like, they've made like the Inazuma 11 games, but I don't know anyone who even who even knows outside of like the anime community who even knows what Inazuma 11 is. That's something I need to get around to watching. Actually, it's been on like I've got my so much stuff on my plan to watch list and just never got around to it. Just never got around to it because I'm lazy. Yeah, we'll go with I'm lazy. Yeah. uh, I spent the first hour talking about games. That's always fun. Because this is supposed to be the partially Linux episode, I want to talk about something fucking hilarious that I saw on Reddit. So I saw this yesterday. It got it got 69 upvotes, which is always nice to see. Um, this is someone who doesn't like me and a couple other people. So genuinely trying to learn how to use Linux through YouTube has been so frustrating because of these channels. I had to install the Channel Blocker Chrome extension specifically to block them from my search feed. Frustration gone. So I am now in a block list. I love it. It's always fun to know that there are people out there who hate you so much they are willing to like block you from their entire existence, even if I've never interacted with them. It's one thing if like you know you block someone who you've had some sort of negative interaction with. Um yeah, this guy just blocked these people because I don't know, he didn't like the videos they were making and it wasn't exactly what he wanted from Linux videos. Anyway, DistroTube, okay. Luke Smith, Baby Wogue, Chris Titus Tech, Brodie Robertson, always good to see, Tech Lead, Denchi Video, and Brian Lunduk. Now, some of these ones, like, okay. Here's where it gets really funny, right? DistroTube, Luke, Baby Wogue, Chris, me, Denchi, all make, actually, we'll leave Denchi out for now. These first 5 names all make Linux videos, make sense on this list. Tech Lead, when the fuck was the last time Tech Lead talked about Linux? The last time I think Tech Lead talked about Linux was when he was like, Linux is a waste of time. If you Linux is only a good idea if you don't value your time or something like that. Tech Lead Linux. Let's see. Here we go. The one video that comes up when you look up Tech Lead Linux is why I don't dual boot Linux. Linux is free if you don't value your time. But you added him to a block list about learning Linux through YouTube. This guy, the guy who doesn't talk about Linux, who's had reaction videos from a bunch of people who actually use Linux who are like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. Like, you literally cannot find a video where he's even talking about Linux, with the exception of, what, this here a year ago. 1 year ago, he talked about Lamp Stack, and that is the only time I can even see a video on here about Linux. Every other time, it's Windows or macOS. So, I don't know why Tech Lead's on here. Now, my boy Denshi. My boy Denshi is also on this list. Denshi also doesn't always talk about Linux. Denshi talks about lots of things. He talks about Linux. He talks about playing Mario 64 as Chia launches for some reason. I just spat a little bit then. Okay, that's great. He talks about Yahoo Answers. Talks about Marge Simpson installing Arch. Okay, I'll give you that one. That's a Linux video. Into with Simonetta, whoever this is. Crypto. Odyssey. Redux OS. Doesn't usually talk about Linux. Like, okay, most of the time he does, but like a lot of stuff isn't Linux. Also, his channel's actually growing a lot. I think Denshi definitely deserves a lot more attention than he currently has. Anyway. Now, Brian Lunduke is also a very weird inclusion, because if we look up Brian Lunduke, I'm just going to show you, okay? Here's Brian. Oh, he's uploaded on YouTube again. That's rare. He started to do it. Here's Brian's channel. He deleted most of his videos. So, currently, he has 3 videos on Linux. Out of his 8 videos that are currently uploaded. It's like, what is there to block with Brian Lunduke? He doesn't have any videos to block. Yeah, these ones are hilarious inclusions. But sure, if you don't like Linux content, fine. Blocking these channels makes a lot of sense. But let's find out what his problem is. So Contact Light. Let's find out what Mr. Contact Light had to say. So, this is where it's fucking hilarious. These channels are just for the memes. I don't know what you're fucking talking about. I literally don't know what you're talking about. When was the last time I included any sort of meme content in my channel? With the exception of my thumbnails, where I'm like, let's do something kind of funny with the thumbnail. When was the last time I included any sort of meme content in my actual videos? Anytime I look up something useful about Linux on YouTube, it's always these meme channels hogging the higher listing result. It's always these meme channels hogging the higher listings in the search results. Could it be that people actually like these channels and think that the content they're producing is good? Could that be why they are hogging the higher listings? I would not recommend these channels for anyone starting the Linux journey, because the content isn't helpful regardless of any real educational value presented. This is the strangest statement that I have ever read. The content isn't helpful regardless of any real educational value presented. So, let's say it's highly educational. The content isn't helpful, even though it's highly educational. I don't know what that means. It all gets lost in the memes or their subjective beliefs. Now, I'll give you this one. Subjective beliefs. If we're talking about, I don't know, maybe the bold guys on this list. You can work it out for yourself. But not to mention, some of the controversial videos on the channel have nothing to do with Linux. I think you watched a one DistroTube video when he went to a Trump event, or when he talked about guns and Linux, and you're like, all of these channels are evil. Actually, also, when do I even have a controversial video? I literally don't think I have any videos that are controversial. With the exception of me being like, Stallman isn't a bad guy, but that actually is directly related to the world of Linux. So, I don't know what you're talking about in my case. I just want to learn. The whole endeavor of trying to learn Linux using YouTube has rubbed you the wrong way. Sorry. I just want to learn. If the whole endeavor of trying to learn Linux using YouTube has rubbed you the wrong way, try using an extension that will block the YouTubers listed, at least in the screenshot. That isn't an image or a meme. I don't know what that last bit means. I'm not sure what... Block the YouTubers listed, at least in the screenshot. That isn't an image, macro, or a meme. I don't know what that last bit means. At all. Just out of interest, what are you trying to learn? Never answered the question. I'm not sure whether you're just trolling or genuinely didn't dive into the. Why can you not speak? Didn't dive into the channels you listed. DistroTube, Chris Titus, Luke, and even Brian Lund. How do you spell his name wrong when he actually wrote it in the post? Whether I actually like him or not, fair enough. Yeah, there's reasons to not like Brian Lunduk, but that's a whole nother topic. Have made some very good videos that are especially easy for newbies to follow along with. I'd argue Luke being included in that list, but maybe there's something that Luke's done that's easy to follow along with if you're a newbie. Another great channel you didn't list is the Linux Experiment. Creston, hosted by a French guy who makes great and definitely educational content in general. With regards to all of these channels, some are tutorials, some are general overviews of certain aspects of Linux-based distros, and some are deep dives so users can learn more about something. Might I suggest you go by channel by channel and investigate further before you make such a list public? Oh, that might be helpful, wouldn't it? Imagine thinking about it. Oh, this isn't even the OP. This is someone else. You will feel different in a few months. These guys make low-effort videos, regurgitate each other's content, and do these knee-jerk reaction video just for views and money. Okay, I've said this before. If I wanted views and money, I would not be making videos on YouTube. I would be drop shipping. I make videos on YouTube because there are things I want to talk about. Actually, no. If I wanted to make videos on YouTube and make quick money, I would upload Bitcoin scams. I would shill crypto. I would do all of this stuff that really fucking sketchy channels do. If I wanted to make easy and quick money, I would accept all of the sketchy sponsor requests that I've had from companies that I really disagree with morally. Like, there's a company out there called, it's called iMyPhone. They sent me a sponsorship request recently, and they sell a video editor. This is a proprietary video editor that also has a subscription. Now, I don't know why you would ever use this when things like, what's the Black Magic video editor? What is it called? Black Magic video editor. Like, if you're happy to use something proprietary, DaVinci Resolve. Go use DaVinci Resolve. Why would you ever pay for a video editor when there are really good free video editors out there? I don't understand. If you want to pay for something, pay for, like, the top end. Go get Premiere or After Effects, things like that. Don't go and pay for some random video editor that is going to be missing most of those features. Anyway. You will feel different in a few months. These guys make low-effort videos, regurgitate... right, we already read that part. Anyone willing to trigger their fan base for a couple of bucks is a narcissistic scumbag, in my opinion. I don't think this guy understands, like, how making money on YouTube actually works. If you trigger your fan base is gonna stop watching. Like, that's not a strategy to grow a channel. That is a strategy to kill a channel. That is why people like Blunduk, for example, his channel basically died on YouTube because he made some really fucking stupid takes about things like privacy and about anonymity. And both of those things are when his channel just, like, tanked in views. Basically saying that privacy and anonymity aren't really that important. Those videos are gone now. I believe they're up on Odyssey, though. So if you want to check them out, you can find them. Not an original thought between them. Just pass off others' scripts and regurgitate videos they've seen. I don't know who's doing that, with the exception of that one weird video that Luke and Kenny copied from each other. With the exception of that one, people happen to talk about similar things because they're interesting topics, not because they're regurgitating each other's scripts. That's a stupid opinion. Learn for yourself, think for yourself. Wow, this fucking sub, a bunch of replies insulting me, and now blocked from replying. Pretty toxic groupthink. Must love YouTube drama queens or else. Meow bitch. I love how this guy complains about people being toxic while posting this. While saying that all of the links YouTube has listed make shit content. Without actually giving any examples whatsoever. So, yeah. You will feel different in a few months. Me, I've watched them for over 2 years now. I don't know if this guy's talking about me in this case, but if you are, that's awesome. I don't know why you'd be watching me for 2 years, but I presume he's talking about this specific list. So DT, Chris Titus, Luke, and Brian. All of their content is brilliant, especially 2 years ago. In Luke's case, his content in the Linux sense was better. If you want Linux videos from Luke now, good luck on that one. Learn for yourself, think for yourself. I think you might want to practice what you preach first before you go about telling others to do that. Oh, what a great reply. I think this is one of those toxic replies insulting you. You take what you want to take, dude. If all you see is memes, that's on you. I don't know where these like toxic replies are, because this is the only reply that you've gotten. Sure. What do you have against Chris Titus? I'm not getting a lot of videos recommended from him, but the videos I've watched were of good quality. For example, wanted to get into Xorg, Wayland Talk, and read an ArchWiki article about both. His video was good. The video of the YouTuber, the Linux Experiment, was great though. I love the Linux Experiment because he advocates for Linux and elementary OS. I think that, okay, a guy in my Discord sort of pointed this out. Especially with this post. This is the post that sort of made him think this. This guy might be very new to Linux and just discovered elementary OS and might be a bit of an elementary OS fanboy. And he loves the Linux Experiment. Not saying Nick doesn't make good content. He makes great content. Highly recommend Nick's channel. Please go and watch him. But I think this guy might just be like a massive fanboy of elementary OS. So anyone who like talks positively about it is good in his books. Not too technical, yet keeps me up to date on Linux news and demos some software. Not a tutorials guy, so he doesn't clutter the results page. I don't know what you mean by tutorials cluttering the results page. I'm not sure what this guy's actually looking for in videos, because he wanted something to learn Linux, but not something too technical. Isn't that what you would want if you're trying to learn Linux? I'm not sure what he's specifically asking for. At the start, he was complaining about the videos not being useful enough. Now he just wants Linux news and software demos, which is what I do. But this is where it gets very clear where he actually stands. Chris Titus was my first YouTuber for tutorials. I find his content to be too memey. Are we talking about the same Chris Titus? Like, okay. For anyone who doesn't know who Chris Titus is, this is Chris Titus. Give me 1 second. This is Chris Titus. a system admin who makes videos about Windows and Linux. I don't know, like, with the exception, actually, I wouldn't even say that's memey. He's just talking about, yeah, he lost $100,000 in the crypto crash. Like, what in here is memey? I don't know what he means by memey. Like, does he mean that someone's got thumbnails that might have images in them? Like, I don't know what he's on about. Like, I genuinely don't. These are, like, the least memey thumbnails I have ever seen. Like, oh, he's holding up 2 things. Is this a meme? This might be a meme. I don't know. I guess it's a meme? Sure. I don't know. Anyway. Content to be too memey. Like, he leans into his preferences instead of being impartial on subjects. But he's an arch-by-the-way guy. Is he? Is Chris Titus an arch-by-the-way guy? I didn't even realize Chris actually used Arch. Because, like, he uses Windows as well, and macOS. And he'll use, like, other distros. He'll use, like, other Linux distros as well. Like, this video right here is on macOS. Like, I don't know what you mean by, like, he's an arch-by-the-way guy. He's just not. When I started out, his instructions were unscripted and seemingly unrehearsed, allowed to push out a video. I do, that probably is the case. I know that a lot of the Linux guys do sort of not script stuff, which gives you a more natural sort of content, but it also does lead to a lot of repeating yourself and making mistakes. There are better creators popping up that stick to the script who there are better creators popping up that stick to the script who deserve the views. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means people are doing unscripted stuff, popping up the stick. Is that I guess that might be like a metaphor? I don't know. Wait, here we go. Patrick, I'm a genius and will rub it in your face. Shu Tech Lead isn't even a Linux channel. Why would YouTube recommend him for Linux tutorials? Because he says Google a lot and mentions Linux. Does he? Or I'm sure he says Google a lot. He is a millionaire. He likes Google. Does he mention Linux? From what I've seen, like, he doesn't even talk about Linux, like, at all. Like, his channel is not a Linux channel. I don't know what you're talking about, man. Let's see. Good list, but don't use YouTube to learn. There is a ton of great content written all over the internet. Learning from YouTube is slow, shallow, and limited. I think YouTube, and videos in general, are they're a good way to substitute. I think if you want to learn everything about a topic, you do have to dig into the documentation. But if you want to get something that gives you an idea about what's out there, rather than having to go and dig through that documentation, you can watch a video from someone like me and be like, okay, I want something that is a system monitor, but I don't want to use HTOP. Well, okay, here's BPyTop, here's BashTop, here's a couple of other applications that you don't have to go and test for yourself to find out if you like them. You can watch this video from me, and it only takes you 20 minutes rather than maybe 2 or 3 hours. At the end of the day, obviously, I think you should go and spend that time to properly learn something, but if all you want is a general understanding so then you could work out what you want to focus on, I think that's where videos actually have a lot of value. These channels are the reason why to shift to reading, but there are some things reading doesn't always convey well. I think that you're just bad at reading documentation in that case. I don't know what this guy's really looking for, to be honest. Because he's sort of, like, changed what he's looking for throughout this post. Anyway, that was the last time he mentioned anything. Also, why would you block... You find him quite hilarious, genuinely asking. Also, he doesn't have any videos to block. I don't know why you'd block him anyway. Yeah. Don't use videos to learn something like Linux. Stuff like shell commands, configuration, et al. Is better explained through text. Yes, if you want to learn the in-depth stuff, absolutely. If you want to have an idea about what there is to learn, videos are great for that. Also, too, several of these channels have pretty high-quality content. These two comments sort of contradict the point you're trying to make here. I feel like I was mentioned here somewhere. I'm pretty sure I was, unless that comment got deleted. Why Chris Titus and Brodie? They're both very informative. It's better to learn through text-based sites anyway. 90% of learning Linux is just shell commands. Yes, as I've mentioned, don't watch videos to learn stuff. Watch videos to learn what there is to learn. It's the same thing with, like, doing tutorials, for example. Like, if you're trying to learn Python, for example, watching tutorials is a great way to learn what the language can do. Learn the general idea about it. But if you want to learn the in-depth stuff, if you want to learn how to actually use the language, you have to go and do the actual work. You can't avoid the actual work at the end of the day, but you can optimize how you spend your time. And one way to optimize that is through videos. Baby Wogue posts cringy YouTube videos on r/gnome all the time, and I regret not paying attention before I click on some of them. I love anime myself, but the voice and the anime clips are just too much. I said that 2 times in the comments on Reddit, and he apparently blocked me. I wonder if Baby Wogue has me blocked now, because I've talked shit about him a bunch of times. But the mods were not happy about this, and were like, nah, we're gonna just block this. This has nothing to do with this subreddit, so... What I don't like about DistroTube is how he defines bloat, how he defines as bloat way too much software. Fucking Neophyte to be called bloat. Come on, it's unnecessary. Because he simply distro hops for the likes. DT usually sticks with one distro, and he does videos on other distros. I don't think he distro hops. That's not what distro hopping means. Tech Lead has only made one anti-Linux video from what I've seen, and Chris Titus has many useful tutorials, and that got downvoted. It's weird, like the other weird thing about this this thread is the things that got upvoted and the things that got downvoted. Some of the things in here that were then in a later point in the thread have completely differing upvotes and downvotes. Like, someone will say, oh, Linux YouTubers make a lot of great content. Some will say the exact same thing, and one has 20 upvotes, one has like 5 downvotes. And I don't understand why. It's such a weird subreddit, but at the end of the day, the people in this subreddit aren't the audience for Linux videos anyway. Like, I don't really care what you have to say about it. Like, you weren't watching videos from channels like mine anyway. If your opinion is that Linux videos are shit, I don't really care. Like, you're never going to watch my channel in the first place, so I'm not going to change my content based on what you have to say. I'm going to change my content based on the people who actually might want to watch it. The people who are on channels like Luke's channel and DT's channel and Kenny's channel and Chris Occhipenti's channel. And I will sort of make my content the best sort of content for the people who actually care about watching videos about Linux. Not what some random dude on Reddit has to say. I'm just going to make fun of you because it sounds like a good way to spend 20 minutes and get some good content out of it. I think this is one thing that people misunderstand about me. I will complain about a lot of things, and people seem to think that means that I hate what the person's doing, or that I think they shouldn't be doing it. No, I don't care what you're doing. At the end of the day, do whatever you want. But if you think that you can say something really stupid and I'm not going to make fun of you for it, that's a whole nother thing. I'm going to make fun of you for it because that sounds like fun. Like, you can be a dumbass, but don't expect me not to laugh at you for being a dumbass. That sort of sums it up basically where I stand. I get why people are confused about it, because there are so many people out there who actually do have a problem with what other people do. I don't really get that. Like, I don't know how little you have going on in your life where you're going to spend your time actually caring what someone else is doing. I don't know why you would ever do that. That's just a waste of time. Like, how boring is your life that you're going to care that someone writes Rust code or Python code, or they use Windows or Mac, or they use Linux, or they play on PC or console, or they play on PlayStation or Xbox? Like, how absolutely boring is your life that you actually care what other people are doing? It must be pretty fucking boring. But I will laugh at you because I want to laugh at you. Make fun of people who you don't like. Don't get angry about them. That's a good way to put it, I think. Yeah. Actually, one thing I want to talk about, it's kind of Linux related. I want to talk about a VTuber. Now, that's not a sentence that you would probably ever think was a thing I was going to say. But someone told me about a really cool VTuber recently. I've been talking to her a bit on DMs as well, and there may be possibly a collab, maybe on this channel, happening maybe in July. No confirmation on when. I can confirm that something will be happening, unless something happens and she decides she wants to pull out. There will be a collab on this channel at some point. So, there's a VTuber called Saya Nyan, and she's adorable. I really recommend her content. But ignoring the fact that she's adorable, like most VTubers, she also has a Linux series. So she's actually doing a Linux from scratch series, which actually actually puts me to shame. Makes me realize like how little I actually have spent time properly learning Linux. Because I thought maybe maybe Cyan's been using Linux for a year, 2 years, 3 years maybe, and decided I'm gonna do a Linux from scratch series. No, no, she's been using it for a couple of months. It's like a couple of months, and was like, I'm gonna do it. Because I think she said one of her friends said it as a joke, and she took it seriously, which is how I would sort of approach that situation as well. People have said dumb things to me like that, and I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I did it. So she did the same thing with Linux from scratch. Which honestly is amazing. So yeah, she's got this Linux from scratch series. I've watched a bit of it. First episode she did was 10 hours long? What the fuck? Are you insane? Sure. Okay. But besides from that, like, she does general VTuber stuff like, oh, Minecraft, more Minecraft, other Minecraft, Stardew Valley, you know, sort of like normal VTuber stuff. Also does programming as well. Like, yesterday she did a leak code stream, for example. And that was fun. I popped in for a bit. I think she was doing Python 3 when I popped in. Yeah, that sounds right. But I've had people asking me like, "Oh, Brodie, you should go be a VTuber. You should, like, even just as a joke, like, be a VTuber. That would be funny." I honestly never expected that, like, there was already someone who used Linux, who does programming, who was already a VTuber. I didn't think that was ever a thing. I think she's the only one, which is why her channel is actually being, or also partially the fact that I gave her a shout out, but why her channel's actually been growing a lot recently. Because she sort of is in this very, very interesting niche. Like most VTubers out there. Most VTubers out there sort of do generally the same thing. Like, they'll play video games, they'll do chatting streams, and maybe they'll have a gimmick. Like, oh, I am a shark, or I am other sea creature. There are actually a lot of sea creatures right now. Like, I can think of 3 off the top of my head, which is more sea creatures than I should be able to think of. And 2 of them are sharks, which is more sharks than I should be able to think of. But the interesting thing about doing programming and Linux stuff, as opposed to anything where your gimmick is sort of your character, your gimmick is the fact that you're lewd. This isn't something you can just pretend to know. If you want to do a Linux series or a programming series, you actually need to know how to program, or at least be learning how to program. And that's sort of what sets her apart. I think as time goes on, this is a gimmick that's really gonna actually work for her, because unsurprisingly, people in the tech world, a lot of them like anime, and there's not many girls who are super into tech on YouTube. So that already puts you in a very small camp, and you've got the anime thing there as well, and people will fucking latch on to that. And I hope they do, because she definitely deserves a lot more attention than she's been getting. Also, she does singing streams, and her singing voice is adorable. So, like, yeah, there's also that. I just realized I wasn't showing it. Actually, I'll show you what her model actually looks like. Like a bigger version of it. Like, how could you not love this face? How could you not love this face? Okay, YouTube chat broke. Like, look at this. Look at it. It's adorable. Yeah. Check out Cyan. Check out Cyan, she's cool. Also, I think this is when, she actually gave me a shout out. So I gave her a shout out on my live stream. Then Robertson, who is one of the mods in my YouTube and also my Discord, went and pinged her on Twitter, or I guess added her on Twitter, and was like, hey, this guy just found you. Here's a reaction clip to when he actually, when he found your channel. And then the next day, in her live stream, was like, hey, here's this guy who reacted to my channel. Go check him out. So that already opened up a bit of a back and forth. So I'm saying a lot right now. Yeah, what am I saying? Words. Words are hard. That opened up a bit of a back and forth. So I'm actually really happy that Ronson did that. I'm sure if I had added her myself, she probably would have noticed it because we both don't have that big of a following. It's not like, you know, trying to get the attention of someone who has 100 or 200,000 subs. She has 2k subs on YouTube. I think she has a bit more she has a bit more Twitter followers than me, somewhere in the range like 700. And when you have 700 Twitter followers, you don't exactly get that many notifications where you'll miss something like that. So that's cool. I need to pop into her Discord, actually. I don't think I'm in there. I don't know why I didn't join it. I forgot to. I know Ransom was in there. Also shilling my channel. Like, shilling my channel to her after she reacted to the clip. So I have to thank Ransom a lot for the groundwork he laid out as well. Because while I could have gotten the attention myself, it is cool that someone did actually go and try to set that up themselves because they thought it would be cool. So I definitely appreciate that. And when this collab happens, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think one of the things that's actually really cool about the VTubing world is for the longest time, it's sort of been like its own little world. Like, up until maybe a year or two ago, most VTuber collaborations happened in the context of VTubers. So you have VTubers working with each other. Maybe if someone who wasn't a VTuber came in, like in the case of early on, I believe Ai-chan and the Anime Man did a collaboration together, but the Anime Man sort of came into her world. It's a bit different now. Now you're sort of starting to see, I guess, VTubers and just regular streamers sort of doing stuff together as if they're like, as if there's nothing odd about that, which is how it should be. I like that it's had this own, like, tight-knit community for the longest time, but I think there's some really cool stuff that can happen by expanding outside of that. Like, for example, I watched a while back, there was a episode of the Trash Taste podcast, which is a podcast by Gigark, the Anime Man, and CDog VA, where they brought on Calliope Mori, who is adorable as well and makes amazing music. But yeah, let's see if we can find. No, you're not seeing it. No, you're not going to see an ad for whatever this is. I'm not even going to tell you what the ad is. They don't deserve any money from me or any attention. Like this. Look at this. Like, look at this. Like, it's just weird. This is weird. What we're seeing right here is very weird. This won't ever stop being weird. What should stop being weird, though, is when you have things like, say, there is a... is it Shadowverse? Is that what the game's called? I don't know what the game's called. There is a tournament that Callie and Kiara were in recently. Give me a sec. I'm gonna find the... I'm gonna be... Is it called Shadowverse? Yeah, Shadowverse. Let's see. Does she have a picture on her Twitter? Here we go. Here is the lineup for the tournament when it loads, if it loads. Is it gonna load? There, okay. So you'll have them, like, all, like, they'll just be in a live stream together as if there's nothing weird there. And it's cool that these barriers are sort of being broken down, because there's a lot of really cool VTubers out there. Like, yeah, there's just a lot of really cool VTubers out there, and it's really cool that people are actually starting to work together. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go in the future. I don't know what's gonna happen. I presume there's gonna be more stuff like what's happened with with Connor and Iron Mouse doing their series together where they were playing a co-op game that I'm forgetting the name of. The one where you play as little dolls that I don't remember. I don't remember what it's called. Wait, let's see if I can just find it. Iron Mouse. If I just look up Iron Mouse Monkey collab. Yeah, that actually came out straight away. Yeah, it came out straight away. I love it. Iron Mouse and Sea Dog collab. What was the game they were playing? I cannot find the name of the game. Anyway. Yeah, like, I want to see more stuff like that happening. Where just people stream together as if there's just nothing weird about it. And you're gonna get to see some really cool content. Yeah. Like, I think, honestly, I think most of the... Another thing, I can't think... Okay, there's a couple of very small exceptions, but I think most of the female streamers that I like are VTubers. I don't think it's because... Like, solely because they're VTubers. I think the thing about being a VTuber, I think what it allows people to do is be themselves without being worried about people judging them based on their looks. So rather than... I get a lot of people being worried about, you know, showing their face online, especially in the case a lot of the VTubers, like, actually Faye's an exception, she's just post pictures of herself on her Twitter, but a lot of the VTubers out there who like to be very lewd, like Snuffy, for example. Snuffy is fucking weird. Or will say things that, if you're putting your face out there, might make you kind of embarrassed to do that. By being a VTuber like that, it allows people to actually just be themselves, or be a character that's very entertaining. And I think that's why a lot of the VTubers out there actually are really cool. And it's not just female VTubers. There are some really cool male VTubers out there as well. It's just the majority of them are female. Which also is kind of weird, actually. Like, it's very weird that, like, there's one segment of gaming and anime content is just dominated by women. Like, most of it, like, most of the content out there is made by guys. But there's one tiny segment almost entirely dominated by women. And there's a lot of cool streamers there. And I think there's a lot of cool interactions that could happen. So, I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited for people to be doing really cool content. Yeah. What else do we have to talk about? Let's see. We can talk about... Talked about that one. Oh yeah, I want to talk about what I bought in the Steam summer sale. Okay, so with like the Steam sales, I don't usually buy too much. I'm one of those people who buys games that I want to play, because I don't feel like wasting money on building a Steam library. I know there's people out there who like to collect Steam cards and all of that bullshit. Not my thing. I think it's dumb. So, I bought a lot of games this time. I think I spent about $200 on games, which is, for me, I think it's actually a lot for a lot of people, but for me, it's especially a lot of money. Now, can I find my transaction history? How do I do this on Steam? I don't remember. Do we go account details? Will that tell me? View purchase history. So I bought... Oh, the last thing I bought was Cuphead. Because people keep telling me to play Cuphead, and I just haven't. I've never played Cuphead before, and it looks like a really cool game. And it's fucking difficult from what I've seen, so that also right up my alley. I bought The Binding of Isaac because people also want me to play that one, because I've gotten very into roguelikes, so it just makes sense for me to buy Binding of Isaac. Hollow Knight I also picked up because Hollow Knight looks real cool. Also, it was real cheap. Do not play the audio. Hollow Knight was... Okay, it's $8.75 there. I think the price went up, actually. It's so cheap, though. Like, how could you not buy Hollow Knight? How could you not buy Hollow Knight for that amount of money? It's another 2D side-scroller, difficult game. You know, Dark Souls-like sort of thing. You know the drill at this point. You know the games I like. I bought a copy of Persona 4 Golden because I've been meaning to play P4G. I just haven't, and it isn't perfect. I think it's got a gold rating on ProtonDB, so it's perfectly playable. I'm not probably gonna play it on stream, but I might. Yeah, I might. Curse of the Dead Gods I also picked up because Curse of the Dead Gods, it's an isometric roguelike. Like, you know, the fucking games I play. And it has a really cool art style. It's got like this cell shaded art style, but it's not cell shaded to the point of being weird to look at. I don't know how to describe art. It's got the cell shaded art style, and I guess it plays sort of like a Diablo game. If you made Diablo a roguelike. Plus, it's got this interesting curse mechanic where you can take debuffs and also get buffs as well. Until you get your last curse, where you get a massive debuff, and the game's like, stop taking advantages. Stop it. Because of Mr. Hex DSL, I bought a copy of Ys 8. Because it looks like a cool game. And I like JRPGs, so I'm gonna buy it. And it was pretty cheap. It was $35. And it's a JRPG. And I just noticed that the next Ys game actually is coming out very soon. And it still looks like a PS3 game. It looks like a better PS3 game, but it still looks like a PS3 game. Actually, it looks good for like this series, but yeah. Anyway, coming out in 5 days. Maybe I should finish the entirety of of Ys 8. I haven't played any of the rest of the series. I just bought it solely on the recommendation of Hex. Here the Hammerwatch is a isometric roguelike with a pixel art style. You know, maybe I should buy things that aren't isometric roguelikes. Maybe I should try out something else. I guess there's also 2D roguelikes. Also just 2D games in general. Ori is one I bought because it looks pretty. And I hear very good things about it. So I bought both the games because they were both... I think buying them together... Yeah, buying them together was only $25. So I was like, let's buy it. Why not? And something I've been meaning to play for a long-ass time. It's by no means a new game. And because it's not a new game, it was also quite cheap. Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is a roguelike RPG with rhythm game mechanics. So basically, if you like do stuff to the rhythm, you get bonuses, you do extra damage, things like that. Which is just kind of cool. It's a very different way of playing a game. Also, I bought Skull. Because why not? There was a bundle with Dead Cells, so I just bought it. I also already own Dead Cells, so like it just made sense. Are you fucking kidding? I bought it before the 40% discount. I bought it at 10% discount. And that is actually everything. Ender Lilies I also bought, but Ender Lilies wasn't on special. I just wanted to play that day one, basically. I wasn't gonna wait like a couple of months to play Ender Lilies because that game just looked so cool. Especially once I found out that the music was made by Millie. I had to play it sort of as soon as possible. Not because I don't have other games to play, but because I am a massive fanboy of Millie, and I just love her music. on that note, go listen. There's a couple songs you should listen to if you wanna sort of fully understand how good Millie's music actually is. First one I would recommend listening to, if you haven't already, go listen to the Goblin Slayer opening, because firstly, Goblin Slayer is good anime. You should watch the anime anyway, but go listen to the full version of the of what's the song? It's called Rightfully. Yeah, Rightfully. Go listen to the full version of Rightfully. It's a very good song. The music video for it is weird. You can watch that if you want, but listen to the full opening or the full music. Also listen to this one, String Theocracy. Very good song as well. It is a theme song for a game. I did not even realize that. But yeah, very good song as well. And then you get into like the weird stuff. This one here, Mushrooms. Listen to Mushrooms. This is a song about how the mushrooms are speaking to me. And it's basically take an acid trip and turn it into the form of a song. Yeah. Oh, and while we're at it, also listen to World.Execute Me. Because this song, every time I listen to it, it gets weirder and weirder. I'm going to show you an excerpt from the lyrics to World Execute Me. Because, yeah. It's so fucking strange. The entire song is just, anyway. If I'm a set of points, then I will give you my dimension. If I'm a circle, then I'll give you my circumference. If I'm a sine wave, then you can sit on all my tangents. If I approach infinity, then you can be my limitation. Like, sure. There's a weird line in here about eggplants. If I'm an eggplant, then I will give you my nutrients. If I am a tomato, I will give you antioxidants. What does that mean? I don't know what that means, but it's a great song. I'm not doing it justice by telling you the lyrics. I highly recommend just listening to World Execute Me, and you will realize just how great this song is. Actually, listen to everything Millie's ever made, but especially listen to Rightfully, World Execute Me, String Theocracy, and what other one did I say? Rightfully, String Theocracy, World Execute Me, and Mushrooms, and also Mushrooms. Yes. All of those, very good songs. And then listen to everything else. Occasionally while I'm at work, even though, like, orchestral music probably isn't the best thing to be listening to while, like, trying to keep yourself focused on filling boxes, I tend to just chuck on Millie's entire discography and listen to that while I'm working. It passes the time when I don't have anyone to just talk shit with. Which I tend to anyway, because I tend to have people to talk shit with anyway, because, you know, no one there wants to be filling the boxes, but we all have to be because we have bills to pay. Got bills to pay, we've got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in this world for free. If we speak, actually, while we're talking about songs, that's another song that you should listen to. What was the song called? It's the opening to Borderlands 1. No, sorry, Borderlands. Wait, is it? Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. Yeah, go listen to Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. I looked at Borderlands 1 theme song, and it came up with the Borderlands 3 theme song. No, that's not what I searched for. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, go listen to that as well. I have a lot of music I could recommend. Actually, we could do an entire podcast while I just scroll through my Spotify playlist and just talk about songs that I think are worth listening to. Go listen to all of Demon Dice's music, all of the stuff that Callie made before she became Callie. Yeah, all of the stuff she did as Demon Dice, bloody brilliant. And I love that Spotify, It's very difficult for VTubers, especially music VTubers, to keep any identity they used to have a secret. Because let's go over to Mori Calliope. If we go down to the bottom, fans also like is gonna focus. Fans also like Demon Dice. Like, I wonder if these are the same people. And when you listen to Callie and then Demon Dice, you realize, oh yeah, their voices are identical. Because Callie is Demon Dice. Yeah, go listen to all of Demon Dice's stuff as well. Very good. I'm gonna stop recommending music now because otherwise I'm gonna keep doing this forever and not end the podcast. Because we've actually almost got to 2 hours. We've got 5 minutes left, and then the podcast is over. Huh, we've already got through 2 hours. I don't know what I'm gonna do after this, because it's gonna be like 40 minutes till I have to like start prepping dinner and then go to work afterwards. Probably, I might get some thumbnail pictures done, because I haven't actually done that yet. So I can upload other things, besides the, like, the 3 things that I have thumbnails prepared for. Because I forgot to do that. I forgot to do it earlier in the week, because this week's been kind of messy. But at least I don't have to go and edit any videos, because I finished editing all of those. Well, I guess with the exception of this. But I don't really edit the podcast. I sort of just render it. Render it in like a lower bit rate than what I recorded in. And then we're basically good to go. That's pretty much it that we have to do. Yeah. So, I think we'll just end it off there, and I'll give my my recommendation for a channel to go and watch. One channel that I highly recommend, that I forgot even existed until a couple of days ago and then rediscovered again. Absolutely brilliant channel. Go watch Iron Pineapple. Very strange name, but this channel is a channel that focuses entirely on Souls-like, Souls games, things like that. He recently uploaded a video talking about the final Kingsfield game. Kingsfield is a very weird franchise by the looks of it, and it's a first-person RPG by From Software. From Software before they made Demon Souls. So, yeah, it's an old game. But you can see how we got to Dark Souls from there. Apparently, Kingsfield even had the Moonlight Greatsword. I didn't know it had come from, like, it'd come from that early in their history. I thought the Moonlight Greatsword was like I think it was in Demon Souls. I thought it'd like come from that, but nope. It's just a theme they keep throughout their entire franchise, I guess. But yeah, he'll talk about things like basically anything Souls-like, anything Dark Souls related. But it's not a Dark Souls lore channel. It's like, do you like video games? Do you want to have more video games to play? Do you like Souls-like video games? Well, you've come to the right place. We can talk about Lords of the Fallen, why Lords of the Fallen was a mess. We can talk about 8 Souls-like games you've never played, and actually get some pretty awesome recommendations from this. And I guess he's done some other stuff in the past, talking about, like, Red Dead 2, but basically now he's focused on the Souls-like stuff, because people like Souls-like games, and I guess it's good for views. Yeah, check out Iron Pineapple. Cool dude. Cool content, cool dude, and yeah. The one thing I want to just briefly touch on, I've mentioned in the past that my stepdad and my mum occasionally watch the podcast and occasionally watch the podcast clips. So I cannot wait to do the episode with Cyan, because I want to just see the reaction that I get when when Cyan is on the podcast with her VTuber model moving, and I'm just talking to an anime girl. I want to know what the hell they're gonna say, because they wouldn't even know that VTubers exist. That it's even possible to talk to someone that has an anime avatar that's moving. I think it's going to be funny. I think that reaction, no matter what the reaction ends up being, is going to actually be hilarious. And when I get the reaction, I will be sure to talk about it. And if I don't get a reaction, I will be sure to make them watch it and give me a reaction. Because that would be funny. And it's good content. And if I'm going to farm my family for content, I might as well farm them for good content. Anyway, I think that's basically where we're gonna end it off. So, before I go, I want to say, go check out my main channel, that is Brodie Robertson, where I do Linux videos. I apparently upload nothing but meme content, according to some guy on Reddit, and it's all useless. But if you don't think it's useless and you want to go watch some more Linuxy stuff, check out my channel. I feel like the content's better than it used to be. Yeah. I've got a gaming channel, Brodie Robertson Plays, where right now I'm playing Kingdom Hearts and Ender Lilies. I don't know how long the Ender Lilies stuff will go for. I don't know how long the game's gonna take. And when Kingdom Hearts is done, I don't know what I will replace it with. Maybe like Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories or Birth by Sleep. Or maybe I'll emulate 358 over 2 days. I don't know. I'll do something. And then this channel is available over on Odyssey if you want to watch it over there, for the video version, and the audio version is available basically anywhere you can find an audio podcast. If you can't find it on the place you want to find it, let me know and I will try to get it there. No promises, but I will at least try. And at the end of the day, isn't that all that really matters? Yeah. I've been actually trying out new outros. I'm not sure, like, how I want to end it. Like, it feels weird not doing, like, the spirit finger thing. Like, it just feels weird not clicking and doing a spirit finger. But, like, I kind of like this, because when I say hi to people, I usually do, like, the salute, sort of, the like, half salute thing. Like, yo, how you doing? And I think it kind of works for ending the things as well. So, I'm out.